Hi, Year 11, welcome back. We're up to exercise 2E and we're just going to be talking about how graphs look in terms of the shape, the location and the spread. Okay, so shape. There's three basic versions. Either it's symmetrical, which means if you cut it in half, and let's say we put a line here to represent cutting it in half, right down there, you can see, and get rid of the ruler, that either side of that dotted line is a mirror image of each other. Now that's perfectly symmetrical. It can also be approximately symmetrical, which means it's more or less the same, but not perfectly. Okay, the next thing we're dealing with is skewedness. And this means that it's not a mirror image. You can see if I cut it in half, let's say about there, one side is much shorter than the other. What this is called, it's called skewed. It's pulled towards one side or the other. Now we describe this one as being skewed positive because it's got a long tail that drags out towards the positive numbers, towards the bigger numbers. And the other one, because its long tail goes out that way towards the negative numbers, that's why we call it a negative skew. So again, it's very easy to recognize a skew, but remembering which one's positive, which one's negative, look at the tail. If it's going towards the bigger positive numbers, you've got a positive skew. If it's going down towards the negative numbers, you've got a negative skew. Okay, here's another histogram. You can see in this, just for a bit of practice, that the data is approximately symmetrical. If you look at the grey, it's, more or less mirror image, likewise with the orange. Now I think the grey represents females and the orange represents males. And you can see as a general rule, males are heavier than females. So this means they take up a different location on the number scale. If you wanted to describe it, you'd say something like the data for the weight of the male sits in a different location and it sits approximately 2 units higher on the x-axis. I assume this dotted line was the median, and I used that to help me with saying, like, the median looks like it's about 65 and 67. So that's how I got that. And looking at that same set of data again, I can talk about the spread. You can look at it and you can see that's quite similar. It looks like one's almost been picked up and placed 2 units higher up on the scale. So you could say the spread of the two sets of data is quite similar. I actually went in and worked it out and found out that it was 6.5 for males and 6.25 for females. So it really is very similar. If we look at this data, we can see that this graph, A, whatever A is, the spread is far less. It's about 30 compared to this one, where it's far more spread out. It's almost 90, the spread. So that's an example of when the spread can be different. And you just say something like the spread of the two sets of data is different and provide some evidence to support your statement. So saying there's approximately 30 for set A and the spread is 90 for set C. I've no idea what the units are, so that's all I can say. And that's it for today. So get to it, enjoy. There's not many questions in this exercise.